Everyone talks about Napoleon as a genius, a brilliant commander, a man who reshaped Europe. But Egypt was different. Because this wasn't just a campaign. It was a gamble that slowly turned into something else entirely. In the first part, Napoleon had already taken Cairo. A fast, decisive victory. But taking a city is not the same as controlling a country. And almost immediately, he begins reshaping Cairo in his own image. Local councils are created. Courts are established. Administrative systems are rebuilt based on the French model. Even bakers are retrained to produce proper French bread. It sounds almost absurd. But to Napoleon, details like this matter. Because control is not just about armies. It's about everyday life. About slowly replacing one system with another. And for that, he turns to something unexpected. Religion. Despite the French Revolution rejecting religious authority, Napoleon does the opposite here. He embraces it. He works closely with Islamic scholars. He funds religious festivals. He publicly praises Islam. He even dresses the part, appearing in robes and a turban. But no one is truly convinced. Because beneath all of this, it feels calculated. A performance. Napoleon understands something very clearly. People don't need to believe you. They just need to act like they do. And for a while, that works. But only on the surface. Because the reality in Cairo is far more complicated. Taxes are still high. Punishments are still harsh. Executions become common. In private letters, Napoleon casually mentions executing several people a day. And the population notices everything. They see contradictions. French soldiers claim to oppose oppression, yet they take slaves. They speak of enlightenment, yet they raid homes. They talk about equality, while ignoring local customs completely. And slowly, tension begins to build. Not loudly, not all at once, but steadily. At the same time, the French soldiers themselves are starting to feel something else. Exhaustion. Because Egypt is not Europe. The heat is relentless. Uniforms become unbearable. Metal equipment burns under the sun. Water becomes more valuable than anything else. During marches, soldiers collapse. Some never get back up. And those who fall behind don't just get left behind. They disappear. Bedouin raiders follow the army constantly. They don't attack directly. They wait, watching for the weak ones. And when someone breaks formation, that's when they strike. This creates a quiet kind of fear. The kind that stays in the back of your mind. Every step, every mile. Napoleon knows this. So he pushes harder. Faster movement. Stricter discipline. Because slowing down could mean losing control entirely. But there's something he cannot control. Disease. It starts small. A few soldiers feel weak. Then more. Then entire groups. Some lose their sight temporarily. Others become too weak to continue. Medical knowledge is limited. Doctors try but often, they're guessing. And still, the army keeps moving. Because stopping is not an option. Not anymore. Meanwhile, in Cairo, Napoleon fights a different battle. Information. Printing presses work constantly, producing leaflets that describe him as a liberator, a protector, a friend of Islam. But there's a problem. The translations are flawed. Some phrases don't make sense. Others say things that were never intended. In some cases, they accidentally claim that the French themselves are Muslim. To locals, it feels strange, artificial, and trust begins to erode. At the same time, letters sent back to France tell a completely different story. Not of victory, but of struggle, fatigue, confusion, and doubt. Some soldiers begin to ask a dangerous question. Why are we really here? Is this about strategy, trade, empire, or just ambition? Napoleon never asks that question out loud, because his authority depends on certainty. on the idea that everything is under control, even when it isn't. And then everything explodes. After months of growing tension, Cairo rises. An uprising. Sudden, violent. The call spreads quickly. Kill the French. For a moment, it looks like control is gone. But Napoleon reacts immediately. By the next morning, the revolt is crushed. Brutally. The last resistance hides inside a mosque. And when they call for divine help, Napoleon reportedly responds, "God is too late." What follows is not just suppression. It's a message. Mass executions. Bodies thrown into the Nile. Heads displayed publicly. Official reports minimize French losses. But the reality is far worse. Thousands of locals are killed. And the city changes. Fear replaces resistance. But not loyalty. Never loyalty. Because by now, something is clear. Napoleon can control the city, but not the people. And then, new threats appear. The Ottoman Empire declares war. Allied with Britain and Russia, a new coalition is forming. Two armies are preparing to strike Egypt from different directions. And Napoleon makes a decision. He won't wait. He will strike first. With around 13,000 men, he marches towards Syria. Another brutal journey. More heat. More exhaustion. More losses. Cities fall quickly at first, until they reach Jaffa. And everything changes. The city resists. Even executes a French messenger. When Napoleon takes it, he allows his troops to loot it completely. Then comes one of the darkest decisions of the campaign. Around 3,000 prisoners are executed. Not by gunfire, but by bayonets. Even his own officers are disturbed. Napoleon justifies it simply. He cannot feed them. He cannot guard them. He has no choice. But that doesn't make it easier to accept. And then comes Acre, a city that refuses to fall. Its defenses are reinforced. And worse, British ships arrive. They intercept French artillery, and then use those same weapons to defend the city against Napoleon. Without artillery, the walls are nearly impossible to break. Still, he tries. For 60 days. Repeated assaults. Heavy losses. At the same time, a massive Ottoman army arrives, far larger than his own. And yet, he defeats it. A tactical victory. But strategically, it changes nothing. Because Acre still stands. And time is running out. Plague spreads through the army. Men die not in battle, but in silence. Weak, isolated, forgotten. After months of fighting, Napoleon has to retreat. A long march back to Egypt. With fewer men, less strength, and no real victory. On the way, some of the sick are given opium. Not to heal, but to end their suffering. And prevent them from falling into enemy hands. It's a dark, desperate decision. But by now, the campaign itself has become desperate. When Napoleon returns to Egypt, he declares victory anyway. Because perception matters more than reality. And shortly after, he defeats another Ottoman force near Alexandria. Again, a victory. But by now, it's clear. There is no path forward. No real success left to achieve. Only slow decline. And Napoleon sees it. He understands something critical. Staying here will destroy him. So he leaves. Quietly. Telling almost no one. He boards a ship. And abandons the army. Leaving command to General Kleber. The situation he leaves behind is grim. The army is exhausted. Cut off. Surrounded. And when Kleber receives the message, his reaction is simple. Bonaparte has abandoned us. But before leaving, Napoleon witnesses something unexpected. A discovery. Near the town of Rosetta. A stone. Covered in inscriptions. 3 different scripts. Greek. Hieroglyphs. Demotic. At the time, it doesn't seem like much. But later, It will unlock the secrets of ancient Egypt, allowing historians to finally understand hieroglyphs, one of the most important discoveries in history. And yet, ironically, the French won't keep it. After their defeat, the British will take it, just like the rest of the artifacts. And in the end, that's the story of this campaign. Not a clean victory, not a total failure, but something in between. A campaign where ambition went further than reality, where control never became stability, and where a man who came to conquer left before it all collapsed. But when Napoleon returns to France, none of that matters, because he doesn't return with defeat. He returns with a story, a carefully constructed image of success, of glory, of Egypt. And people believe it, because sometimes the story is more powerful than the truth.